Et les problématiques, c'était des problématiques de développement de ces contenus et de partage de ces contenus. Le quatrième atelier a porté sur les équipements techniques et la connectivité. L'une des questions majeures ou l'une des problématiques majeures qui a préoccupé les participants de cet atelier, c'est la question de l'équité. Comment assurer un accès équitable de tous aux équipements techniques et à la connectivité, et donc comment déployer de façon juste ces équipements. Le cinquième et dernier atelier avait pour thème l'innovation. Et il s'agissait de voir comment évaluer les expériences ou l'expérimentation des innovations et surtout le défi essentiel qui est le défi de la mise à l'échelle de ces expériences. Ces 5 ateliers ont eu 2 parties que l'on peut séparer. La première partie est une partie analytique. La seconde partie est une partie de proposition. Évidemment, vous comprendrez tous qu'il n'est pas possible, en 15 minutes, de vous rendre dans les détails les contenus de discussion de toute une journée. Donc, je vais m'efforcer de faire des sélections qui peuvent ne pas être heureuses, mais que les participants comprendront bien. Dans l'analyse de la situation africaine, le premier défi à relever semble être l'absence de politique explicite d'intégration des TIS dans l'éducation. La plupart des pays, certainement, sont entrés dans des pratiques, mais lorsqu'on recherche les politiques de référence par rapport à des pratiques ou des expériences existantes sur le terrain, il n'existe pas ces politiques de référence. Donc la question des politiques nationales dans le secteur de l'éducation est un défi. Le deuxième défi qui a été évoqué aussi ce matin, c'est la non-disponibilité du financement ou l'impression de la non-disponibilité du financement. Généralement, les ministères de l'Éducation sont confrontés à des contraintes budgétaires très lourdes et à des pressions fortes de besoins croissants, notamment avec la croissance démographique très rapide de l'Afrique. Et ces questions, généralement, font que, avec la pression des salaires, la pression des besoins de scolarisation, les dépenses qui sont des dépenses pédagogiques, généralement, ont une enveloppe très, très faible. Et la plupart des pays se trouvent à se confronter à ce problème et donc n'arrivent pas tout de suite à voir où trouver le financement pour prendre en charge un programme d'intégration des technologies. Le troisième défi, c'est ce qu'on a appelé la résistance active ou passive à l'innovation des acteurs de l'éducation. Elle peut être tout simplement un manque d'intérêt, ou elle peut être une position très critique de remise en cause, même de l'intérêt de mettre en place ces technologies. Cela peut être dû, évidemment, à ce qu'on appelle l'esprit conservateur des enseignants, mais ça peut aller plus loin que l'esprit conservateur. Ça peut être peut-être même un sentiment d'insécurité sur lequel nous reviendrons tout à l'heure. Le quatrième défi, c'est que dans l'éducation, on observe une dominance des cultures et des pratiques traditionnelles en pédagogie, c'est-à-dire centrées sur l'enseignant considéré, comme le disait Paulo Freire, comme une banque de savoir chargée de transmettre ces savoirs aux élèves. Et Apparemment, l'introduction des TIC amène une autre banque de savoir concurrente. Et les enseignants semblent quelquefois effrayés par cette compétition avec une banque de savoir qui est extraordinaire, qui est exponentielle, qui a un flux d'informations et de connaissances incroyables qui ne peuvent même pas être gardées dans la tête d'un seul homme. Et là, il y a des craintes d'être déstabilisé si toute la valeur de l'enseignant réside dans le fait d'être une banque du savoir. Cinquième défi, c'est la tendance que nous avons à répliquer des modèles non contextualisés. En fait, généralement, on amène des modèles tout faits dans le pays. On ne réfléchit pas à l'adaptation du modèle compte tenu des spécificités du contexte local. Et évidemment, ces modèles se heurtent à des obstacles quelquefois insurmontables et n'arrivent pas à s'implanter sur le terrain. Et nous verrons aussi qu'il y a une autre raison qui est fondamentale et qui est liée à la façon dont on élabore les politiques. Le sixième défi, c'est le déficit de production de contenus numériques locaux. Généralement, on va les chercher à l'étranger. Et quelquefois, on les adapte et quelquefois, on ne les adapte pas. Le septième défi, c'est la fracture numérique qui fait que la majorité des populations africaines sont généralement exclues de l'accès aux TIC. Le huitième défi, c'est que lorsqu'on regarde aujourd'hui la couverture en matière de connectivité des territoires africains ou de l'espace africain en général, on se rend compte qu'il y a beaucoup d'inégalités et de disparités qui également sont source d'inégalités dans l'éducation. Neuvième défi, le manque de maîtrise du cadrage politique et stratégique, de la planification opérationnelle et du processus de mise en œuvre. C'est-à-dire que très souvent, la mise en œuvre est un défi en tant que tel. Et nous avons un problème à faire une planification opérationnelle de la mise en œuvre. Le dixième défi, c'est que très rarement, on a produit des dispositifs et des indicateurs de référence pour pouvoir non seulement mesurer, mais aussi suivre l'évolution des expériences dans ce domaine grâce à des mécanismes et des pratiques de suivi et évaluation. Face à ces défis, les réflexions ont apporté quelques éléments de réponse. Et je dois encore avouer que le rapport que je présente n'est pas exhaustif. Loin d'être exhaustif, il est obligé, encore une fois, de faire des sélections qui peuvent être heureuses ou pas, vous apprécierez. Quels sont les éléments de réponse qui sont fournis? Premièrement, la grande question, et par où il faut commencer, c'est enclencher des processus de formulation politique qui respectent des principes et des conditions de succès. Et parmi ces principes et ces conditions, il y a la participation de toutes les parties prenantes au processus, y compris les acteurs qui vont être chargés de la mise en œuvre. Deuxièmement, la nécessité d'une internalisation par les parties prenantes nationales, la direction politique du gouvernement pour assurer l'appropriation nationale des politiques. Troisièmement, une démarche inclusive et partenariale tout au long du processus pour pouvoir bâtir les mutualisations qui sont nécessaires au moment de la mise en œuvre. Ces questions sont essentielles. Et lorsque ces conditions ne sont pas respectées, ce qui arrive, c'est qu'il il n'y a pas, au niveau des acteurs comme au niveau des décideurs, une maîtrise suffisante qui permet de mettre en œuvre. Les gens sont impuissants à mettre en œuvre parce qu'ils ne sont pas appropriés la politique en tant que telle. Et c'est parce que généralement, on vient leur offrir des politiques. Et non, ils ne construisent pas leur politique. La deuxième condition, plutôt la deuxième réponse, c'est la recherche de financement innovant. C'est vrai qu'il faut regarder en dehors du budget du ministère de l'Éducation. Le budget est trop contraint. Il faut regarder en dehors du budget. Et regarder en dehors du budget, c'est développer des partenariats. Et les partenariats publics-privés peuvent jouer un rôle important. Et hier, dans les discussions, on a beaucoup insisté sur les financements innovants, en particulier les financements avec les opérateurs numériques. Comment travailler avec ces opérateurs numériques pour disposer des ressources financières pouvant permettre au moins de s'engager dans cette voie. Troisième élément de réponse, il faut intégrer dès maintenant, dans la formation initiale comme dans la formation continue des enseignants, des modules axés sur les compétences TIS. Cette question est essentielle pour préparer déjà les jeunes enseignants à pouvoir aborder ces défis dans la classe, mais aussi les enseignants qui sont en cours d'emploi. Il est nécessaire aussi de les initier pour qu'ils puissent eux-mêmes prendre en charge la mise en œuvre dans les classes. Le quatrième élément de réponse, c'est que former les enseignants ne suffit pas. Pour vaincre les résistances, il est aussi essentiel de motiver et d'inciter. Et motiver et inciter, on a dit, par exemple, il serait bon de certifier les compétences acquises dans ce domaine pour que les enseignants soient valorisés lorsqu'ils partent acquérir de telles compétences. Deuxièmement, il ne suffit pas peut-être de certifier, mais que cette certification permette, disons, d'avoir des bénéfices au niveau de la carrière, que ce soit en termes d'avancement ou autre. Cinquièmement, favoriser les changements de culture et de pratiques pédagogiques. Les enseignants doivent quitter les méthodes directives qui posent beaucoup de problèmes dans l'intégration des technologies. On a dit le sentiment de sécurité au niveau des enseignants, alors qu'un enseignant qui est un accompagnateur pour les élèves, un enseignant qui est un animateur pour l'apprentissage des élèves, un enseignant qui incite ses élèves à la recherche, à la confrontation avec les problèmes, cet enseignant, lui, a besoin d'éthique. Mais l'enseignant qui ne fait que transmettre des savoirs, comme on l'a déjà dit, peut ne pas avoir besoin d'éthique. Sixièmement, adapter les contenus numériques au contexte culturel et linguistique, ainsi qu'aux besoins spécifiques des systèmes d'éducation africains. Cela va demander non seulement un travail d'adaptation, mais un travail de production locale. Et c'est ce qui apparaît dans le 7, c'est-à-dire encourager par des mesures incitatives les acteurs à développer des contenus adaptés dans les langues africaines, mais aussi à les partager de façon large en rendant ces ressources libres. Huitièmement, les partenariats publics-privés, notamment avec les opérateurs télécoms, peuvent permettre de mutualiser des ressources, des efforts, afin de réduire les fractures numériques, l'accès à l'énergie, et les différentes disparités qui font que la couverture n'est pas équitable pour le moment. 9e élément, pour s'approprier l'innovation, il faut initier des phases expérimentales permettant aux acteurs de se plonger dans la mise en œuvre sous forme de projets pilotes ou d'autres formes, en évitant de développer des modèles atypiques qui ne seront ni généralisables ni durables. Parce que très souvent, lorsqu'on commence, on met des conditions telles que ces conditions, on ne pourra pas les réduire, les reproduire à une échelle large. Et lorsqu'on met de telles conditions, on ne pourra pas aller à grande échelle, jamais. Donc il faut tenir compte des conditions qu'on peut élargir à tous, des conditions qui peuvent être pérennes compte tenu des capacités de financement, des capacités techniques, etc. 10e élément. Sur cette base, il faut mener un processus d'apprentissage. Faire, capitaliser, étendre progressivement. Mais cela nécessite un pilotage qui demande un suivi et une évaluation, qui demande une recherche-action d'accompagnement et qui demande des ajustements progressifs dans un processus itératif qui permet de construire progressivement non seulement une expérience, mais également des capacités, des connaissances, une façon de faire et un modèle au bout, un modèle adapté au contexte. Conclusion, quelques idées générales. L'investissement dans les TIS pour l'Afrique n'est pas un choix, c'est une obligation. Et c'est une obligation parce que l'Afrique, dans la mondialisation, aujourd'hui est confrontée aux défis des économies du savoir et des sociétés de l'information. Et si l'Afrique veut relever ce défi, qui va lui permettre d'accélérer son propre développement, comme on l'a vu avec la Corée, il est absolument indispensable d'investir maintenant dans les TIS. Donc ce n'est pas un choix, c'est une obligation pour nous. Deuxièmement, il faut penser aux jeunes d'aujourd'hui. Ces jeunes ne sont pas comme moi. Ils n'ont pas vécu l'essentiel de leur vie dans le XXe siècle. Ils vont vivre l'essentiel de leur vie dans le XXIe siècle. Et ce XXIe siècle est très différent du XXe siècle. Et ils demandent des compétences qui sont devenues indispensables. Des compétences pour savoir résoudre des problèmes. Des compétences pour savoir faire face à des situations inédites, des situations nouvelles. La capacité de développer de l'innovation, la capacité d'avoir des projets, d'être à l'initiative, d'entreprendre. Les jeunes ont besoin d'apprendre tout au long de la vie. Les jeunes ont besoin de s'auto-motiver pour cet apprentissage tout au long de la vie. Les jeunes ont besoin d'inter-apprendre parce qu'aujourd'hui, la connaissance, on ne la développe que par l'inter-apprentissage. Ces compétences du XXIe siècle, il est indispensable aujourd'hui de les installer au niveau des jeunes pour leur permettre de se confronter à la vie et au travail au XXIe siècle. Troisième conclusion que les participants hier ont affirmé très fortement, c'est la nécessité d'un leadership politique qui soit visionnaire, qui soit volontariste et qui soit déterminé pour aider à entreprendre, pousser à entreprendre et à mobiliser pour les changements qui sont nécessaires. Voilà, mesdames, messieurs, ce que j'ai pu retenir avec l'équipe des coordonnateurs de ce que nous avons eu comme réflexion hier. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Mamadou, pour ce brillant résumé de nos travaux d'hier. Et on a un seul regret, c'est que les ministres ne sont pas là. Je vois qu'il y a un seul qui vient d'arriver. Et en fait, cette présentation leur était destinée. Donc, je crois que nous aurons l'occasion certainement, demain matin, Mamadou, je crois qu'il y a une séance entre 8h30 où tu vas intervenir. Je crois qu'il va falloir reprendre certaines des recommandations et des défis surtout qui ont été, que vous avez eu à présenter tout à l'heure. Nous avons un sérieux problème de temps, de gestion de temps. Nous avons une session qui doit commencer et je voudrais demander l'indulgence des interprètes pour qu'on puisse aller jusqu'à 13h30. Mais cela va un peu aussi fausser notre pause déjeuner. Et donc, on va essayer de faire le mieux qu'on peut pour qu'on puisse aller rapidement à notre session et essayer de terminer disons, vers 13h15. Donc, je vais appeler tous les membres du panel, parce que je vais présider le panel, de venir me rejoindre. Il s'agit de M. Koulibaly de la Côte d'Ivoire. M. Jérôme John Temba du Kenya. Diego Felmes de l'Argentine. Martin Rist, Education Business Manager, Hewlett Packard, HP. Et son Excellence, Monsieur Michael Masuta, de l'Afrique du Sud. J'espère qu'il est avec nous. Honorable Michael Masuta from Deputy Minister of Science and Technology, South Africa. Are you in the room? I think we're missing the Honorable Minister. Okay, yes, I've just been informed that actually he couldn't make it because of the passing of Nelson Mandela, and the funerals are taking place, I think, today. All right, so as I said, we have now 5 presentations, and I'd like to ask our presenters to take no more than 8 minutes to really make your presentation. I know this is unfair, but so I will, without much ado, I'd like to start with our colleague from Cote d'Ivoire, Aboubakar Koulibaly, to make his presentation on the ICT strategy in Cote d'Ivoire.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Aboubakar Koulibaly. I'm the ICT advisor to the Minister of Education and Technical Training of Cote d'Ivoire. So I'm going to be talking about the experience of Cote d'Ivoire as far as integrating ICT into the education system is concerned. Yeah, I'm going to just give a quick, brief overview of the political, social, and economic environment, Cote d'Ivoire. In 2012, Cote d'Ivoire was a country that was coming out of a 10-year war. There was distrust in the country, there was instability. There was very little investment in education during the past 10 years. The schools were destroyed and equipment was stolen. The academic achievement levels were very low because there were always interruptions in the school and the school year. Schools were overcrowded. There was a lack of teachers. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Lack of teachers, lack of ethics and morality in the schools, In other words, it was an education system in a bad shape, in a shambles. Faced with such a huge challenge, the government of Cote d'Ivoire has decided to take some bold steps to bridge the gap. The government decided to allocate a huge chunk of the budget to education. More than 15,000 primary school teachers were hired. More than 7,000 secondary school teachers were also hired. Thousands of schools were rehabilitated and new classrooms were built. The uniform was reinstated and discipline was restored, discipline and order were restored. And the government decided to make education free for all and accessible to all. More than 50 billion CFA additional monies were invested into education. And above all that, the government decided to take the bold step of integrating ICT into the education system, making that a top priority. The broad ICT policies were put together by the Ministry of ICT in collaboration with the other ministries, because we have three sectors in education. We have higher education, national education and technical training, and professional education. These are three different sectors. A new telecommunications code was signed into law, and that code created two major projects. The e-government project, which had a spin-off of the e-education, which dealt with the education sector. These programs were part of there's an agency called the Universal Access Fund. It's called ANSUT. So those programs were housed at ANSUT. That organization was restructured to fit into the new vision and became fully operational only 3 months ago. And that organization is tasked with the goal of has the task of financing all the ICT projects as far as e-education, e-health, and e-agriculture are concerned. And also a decree was signed by the president to make ICT teaching a subject matter in the education system. Now, this is a snapshot of the Ministry of Education. It's a national system. It's a pretty complex system. A lot of departments, a lot of sub-departments, and so a lot of communication issues between all these departments. Now, I'm going to give some numbers here. Cabinets, we have 12 what we call service rattachés. These are services that are directly attached to the minister's cabinet. A secretariat, which is not yet operational. Central directions, 36 regional departments, 186 primary education inspections, 14 teacher training schools, 15,000 schools, more than 90,000 employees with more than 70,000 active teachers. And overall, about more than 4 million students in Cote d'Ivoire. What does integrating ICT into such a massive and complex system mean for us? The three things that we want to achieve. One is computerizing the administrative offices, the cabinets, the central and the regional departments, the primary schools, secondary school, the whole system has to be computerized. Integrating ICT into pedagogy and training, teaching ICT schools to all students, no matter what the future areas of work might be. Now, what does computerizing the administrative offices mean? It means cabling all the offices, bringing 3G or high-speed internet access to the schools, bringing Wi-Fi to the schools, bringing professional and productivity tools to Providing student and school management solutions to the schools, providing data warehousing, better statistics, and BI capabilities to decision makers. In terms of integrating ICT into teaching, providing digital multimedia books and tools, building computer labs with interactive classroom solutions, providing students the ability to study anywhere at any time, providing teachers 21st century teaching skills, providing students 21st century learning environments, providing teachers on-the-spot student evaluation possibilities, capabilities, giving every student and teacher the opportunity to enter into the digital age. ITG skills is really about giving every student basic ICT skills, whether or not the student is going to be a doctor, an architect, a teacher, whatever the vocation might be in the future. In terms of achievement, we've put together a strategic ICT plan. We're running a pilot program in 30 facilities. A second pilot is planned. A second pilot of about 100 facilities is also planned. We're working with private partners to put together computer labs in schools. The national fiber optic backbone construction is ongoing. It's about 6,700 kilometers of fiber. Internet access and professional emails have been provided to some offices. The ministry has websites, and some departments also have their own website. So I'm going to just run through this quick. We have a project ongoing, IFADEM, project with the Chinese and UNESCO program, and a lot of the employees are using ICT as the primary means of communication. The challenges. Teacher and administrative staff training is a challenge. It's something that we haven't tackled yet. It's something that's very important to us. Community involvement is also a hot topic. Running RFPs to select suppliers is a big challenge. It's also a lack of desires on the part of the administrative people to give up their power, to work in silos. A lack of discipline in the management of ICT resources, energy issues, budget issues, and so on. Now the opportunities, we have the opportunity to take a leapfrog and close the gap, the huge gap that was created by the war in Cote d'Ivoire. We have the opportunity to standardize, consolidate, and provide reliable data, statistics for timely and informed decision-making by the decision makers. The opportunity to minimize the effect of the lack of teachers and overcrowding of schools by providing access to digital education content, provide world-class skills to our students and prepare them for competition in the world stage in the new economy. Turn the political will into concrete results. So this is in a nutshell what we've started doing in Cote d'Ivoire. It's the beginning of the process. And we were hoping that within the next 5-10 years, we're going to be achieving some concrete results.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll now call on John Tembo from Kenya to make his presentation.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my dear participants, good afternoon. Is it good afternoon or good morning? We've had a long day, but I'm going to give you a brief presentation on the Kenyan model of ICT integration and lessons learned so far in the progress of the implementation. Kenya's ICT integration has been a journey Just like that picture, it has been long and winding, and there seems to be no end in sight yet. But we are making progress one step at a time. And I'm here to challenge you on the bold step the government of Kenya has taken to make ICT integration a reality in classroom situation. I would like to assure you that ICT integration did not begin this year or last year. It has been a journey, as I've mentioned, and we have in place a good policy environment, and I've just picked a few of them. But we have quite a number of policies touching on specific issues of ICT integration in the sector, touching on content development, touching on teacher training, touching on how ICT should be integrated. But our ICT integration is not about teaching ICT as a stand-alone subject. It is about use of ICT as an enabler. I would like to let you know that since 2004, Kenya has been in the field of ICT integration. We were one of the guinea pigs. There were 15 African countries in 2004 which were picked to pilot the NEPAD e-schools. And Kenya was one of them, and we implemented it in 6 schools. And there were lessons learned, and some of them I'll be sharing with you. And there are other ongoing initiatives with our partners. One of the major programs is called Accelerating 21st Century Education, and ICT Economic Stimulus, which has targeted secondary schools. And currently, we have over 2,000 secondary schools actually using ICTs for teaching and learning. And we also have Badiliko, which I think in this forum it will be shared by one of our partners. From the discussion this morning, I wish to assure you that the ministry has considered all the aspects of ICT, and we are not concentrating on hardware. The media in Kenya has been really pushing us to say when the devices shall be delivered. But we are telling them that ICT, the devices is only one aspect of ICT integration. They talk about the laptop program, and with us, we tell them it is about ICT integration in basic education. It is not the laptop project. It is ICT integration in education. And from that diagram there, it tells you we have considered the aspects of teacher training, digital content, of course, the infrastructure, and the aspects that we need good leadership to drive the process. Our current leadership is very committed to integration of ICT. Our Vision 2030 stresses the fact that ICT will be a key driver for knowledge economy. And it's because of this that ICT, why the government of Kenya is putting ICT at the center as a priority, as a flagship project, is because we are looking at developing a human resource that will compete globally with other nations and be able to have that human capital that can transform our country economically, socially, and in any other field. The ministry has also put in place structures to ensure that this ICT integration becomes a reality. And it includes establishment of a center called ICT Innovation and Integration Center, which is a hub where teachers and learners can come and learn new technologies, new innovations in terms of teaching and learning. And this is where we have also hosted the teachers portal, where teachers can exchange and collaborate in terms of information, lesson plans, and so on and so on. So one of the prime areas that we have put in the ICT integration is in terms of teacher professional development. And in the current implementation process, we are targeting over 60,000 teachers and education managers. We also have digital content in place. For standard 4 to 8, we have maths, science in place. And for standard 1 to 3, we have developed digital content for all subjects, which we shall use to roll out the program in primary. And there is a key segment in terms of implementation which we have tried to reach. And we are engaging actively the National Assembly to be able to buy the idea and to support us even when it comes to the budget process in Parliament. We have key ministries like the Ministry of Energy, which is at the moment charged with ensuring that all the schools are connected to electricity or solar energy. Civil society, teachers. Actually, initially the teachers, because they wanted higher salaries, they had proved, they had said priority should be given to increase of salary and hiring of teachers. But we were able to engage them, and they have promised us that they are supporting the process. And already in the trainings that we are undertaking, teachers have attended and they are supportive of the program. Here, I think I've mentioned that we are now at the stage of the tendering process, and it has been a journey. And I will share as part of the last slide on what lessons learned on tendering. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, these are the key lessons learned so far, not just from the current program of the laptop program, but even from our previous implementation. Ownership and consensus building among all the stakeholders within the education sector. The issue of procurement has not been easy. I think it was mentioned by one of our panelists yesterday. We did the first one, and we had to cancel because it didn't give us what we thought we wanted. We went for the second procurement process, which is still ongoing. So it has to be a well-thought-out process. The third thing we are learning is about sharing. We thought we knew some aspects, but we've learned from other countries which have implemented ICT integration, key lessons on how we can improve our program. And the issue of public-private partnership cannot be underestimated, and this is exactly what is driving our key process. We have all the key stakeholders who are here participating in the implementation of our program. And finally, one other thing that is always not thought about when ICT is being implemented is in terms of deployment process. This is an area that requires critical thinking. Otherwise, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, John. So after listening to two promising African experiences, now we're going to move on to Latin America. And we're having our colleague here who came all the way from Argentina to make a presentation on their experience.
Thank you very much, distinguished participants, guests. It's an honor to be here, to come from so far, first time in the continent, and I will try to stick to the rule of the 8 minutes, so here we go. This presentation is divided into two themes, the first being Argentina's ICT and education policy and its focus on promoting social inclusion, and secondly, the South-South cooperation that we are promoting through the Ibero-American Institute for ICT and Education. First, a little bit about the organization where Ibertic is located. The OEI is an intergovernmental organization of 22 Spanish and Portuguese-speaking countries of America and Europe. First, I apologize to let everyone know that the World Cup winner will be coming from one of these green countries on the map. We have 18 national offices, 10 specialized institutes, and headquarters in Madrid, Spain. For over 60 years, the OEI has been an active and development agency, and it is led by its directive council of 22 ministers of education. In 2010, the presidents of the region at the Ibero-American Summit committed to the 2021 educational goal, a consensus of 11 targets and indicators to evaluate progress. The ministers of education that year also requested that the OEI seek extra-regional partnerships, and as you can see here, we have signed agreements with the World Bank, with the EU, ADEA, the UNDP, the Organization of American States, UNESCO, UNICEF, etc. In 2011, the OEI launched its main cooperation program to achieve the 2021 educational goals for its most marginalized and excluded communities. The project is known as Lights for Learning. It looks to provide solar panels, computers, internet to over 60,000 schools across the region, while providing the teacher training, the sustainability, and community engagement. This, like I said, this program is designed and administered by the OEI, but it is funded by its member governments as well as diverse international donors. This past year, the Ibero-American Institute for ICT and Education was inaugurated with the participation of our friends of ADEA, who came to Buenos Aires. The Institute aims to become the regional authority through research, training, and evaluation activities, and by offering specialized technical assistance to governments. The first project of the Institute, which is now in its pilot phase, is Alphabetic, which promotes youth and adult literacy by generating multimedia and interactive material for both laptops and mobile devices, which are applicable and adaptable to different contexts and countries. Next year, Ibertic will be hosting the first ever Ibero-American Congress on Science, Technology, Innovation, and Education. Both the Congress and the Institute are located in Buenos Aires, Argentina, because of its leadership in ICT policies, which is the focus of the second half of this presentation. A little bit about Argentina. Today, Argentina is considered a middle-income country, a human development and ICT integration leader in the region, despite having suffered a very severe crisis in 2001, when the poverty rate reached about 50% and unemployment was about 25%. During the next decade, the country enjoyed a remarkable economic recovery, which was fueled by social investments and a transformation of its educational system. In 2006, the National Education Law was approved to expand the role of the state in providing mandatory, obligatory public education for 10 years. Similarly, an education financing law guaranteed a budget floor of 6% of the GDP by 2010. Today, this figure has surpassed 6.5% of the GDP. So this is an all-time high for the country. Argentina's ICT framework is driven by Agenda Digital Argentina, which since 2009 coordinates ICT policies that consolidate economic, social, and educational progress while assuring digital inclusion. The agenda is directed by a multi-sectoral cabinet. It is a collaborative, open, and permanent strategy and favors locally produced goods and services over imports. In 2010, the President launched Argentina Conectada, which is the 5-year national telecommunications plan. The plan provides funding for communications infrastructure, equipment, and services, digitizing terrestrial television, extending connectivity to remote areas, as well as establishing public ICT centers across the country. In 2012, this work was recognized when the UN's ITU awarded the World Telecommunication and Information Society Prize to the President of Argentina, stating that under President Kirchner's leadership, ICT development has made great strides. Whoops, I lost the presentation. How do I get the presentation back? Oh, here we go. Perfect. When examining Argentina's ICT and education policies, one must start with Educar State Corporation. The 2006 education law appoints the Ministry of Education to coordinate with Educar the incorporation of ICT at all educational levels to improve teaching and learning processes. It also designates Educar to create content on the web portal for education, as well as to produce and broadcast audiovisual material according to the national curriculum. Next, to really appreciate and understand Argentina's ICT in education integration, one must consider Conectar Igualdad, the national one-to-one netbook program which aims to achieve universal digital and educational inclusion. This is the program that Mr. Davies has mentioned and referenced on a couple of occasions today and yesterday. Since its inception 3 years ago, 3.78 million netbooks have been distributed to every student and teacher in every public high school, special education center, and teacher training institute. Digital content and nationwide teacher training has been coordinated with Educar as well as the OEI, while Argentina Conectada has provided the connectivity via optical fiber or satellite where necessary. Conectar Igualdad is the largest one-to-one program in the world, followed by very similar initiatives in the region in Venezuela, Peru, Brazil, and Uruguay. According to external evaluations that have been carried out by Intel and several local universities, the program shows the potential of one-to-one programs to reduce the digital literacy gap while promoting economic development. The report concludes that successful educational transformation depends on several best practices that other countries can follow. The first being, this initiative would not be possible without the full leadership and support of the President. Sustainability of the program was ensured through funding provided by the recently nationalized Social Security Fund, which has provided $1.3 billion over 3 years of implementation. Secondly, an independent executive committee was established to oversee the program, and the OEI provides the oversight and the transparency for the acquisition of the equipment. And thirdly, from the very early going, Conectar Igualdad has been able to create a coordinated and holistic plan for program success. For instance, the distribution of the netbooks was always carried out simultaneously with teacher training, and where possible, the training was provided beforehand. To conclude, I would highlight that Argentina's leadership in this field marks a trend in the entire region, and which is framed through the work that we are consolidating at IBERTIC. Our office in Buenos Aires is also responsible for evaluating the regional progress related to the ICT goals of the 2021 targets. Similarly, IBERTIC collaborates closely with the Latin American Network of Education Portals, RELPE, also located in Buenos Aires, in an observatory for one-to-one initiatives in the region. The work of RELPE will be presented in the following panel by my colleague, Ms. Laura Mares. I would also like to emphasize that the OEI and IBERTIC continue to seek extra-regional partnerships as mandated by our Ministers of Education. We recognize the importance of strengthening our cooperation with our southern neighbors, which is why the OEI has signed an MOU with ADEA and also with the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, who are present here today, in 2011. And then the following year, we joined the ADEA Task Force on ICT, which is why we are here today. Finally, this presentation, I would reiterate, is a synthesis of a country study that was distributed yesterday. I understand they might still be available today. There are 2 further papers as well on Uruguay and Paraguay, which I invite you to read, and I would appreciate your feedback, comments, and concerns, and that is all for now. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think I didn't want to show you the 3 minutes because I wanted to be lenient for you to, you have come all the way from Argentina to come a presentation and you limited to 8 minutes. Okay, now the next presenter is going to be Jérôme Morisset from JC, who's going to present on leadership and policy development and strategy for effective ICT integration in learning and teaching.
Thank you, Chair. All distinguished guests and participants and colleagues, get the chance to present this morning, this afternoon. I want to look at the business of leadership and policy development in at 3 different tiers. But I think initially I would like to say a little bit about my organization, which is a Global E-Schools and Communities Initiative. And we were established a few years ago, in 2000, almost 10 years ago, by the UN as a response to helping ministries and the integration of technology in education and in technical and vocational skills development. We obviously work very closely in the use and the incorporation and the contextualization of the UNESCO Teacher Competency Framework, which we believe is overwhelmingly the best teacher competency framework in the world right now. We also help ministries with technical and equipment specifications on educational configurations, etc. And of course, the whole business of monitoring, research and evaluation would be key functions of our organization. On the business of leadership and top-level leadership, we believe that there are certain critical dimensions to effective leadership at government and ministerial level, and they involve some of the characteristics we have just mentioned here. Futures thinking methodology, being able to predict and being able to be creative and innovative about where technology is driving social and economic development as we go forward. A profound knowledge of the strategic role of science, technology and innovation in social and economic development, knowing something about the telecoms infrastructure and the changing nature of telecoms, mobile infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, fiber optics, etc., etc. And of course, most of all, because we as an audience are looking at the critical role of education, and we've been reminded of that factor over the last 2 days, the central role of education and how we provide learning experiences to our young people in the knowledge age. And obviously, overriding all of these is that there is a coherence about the policies we developed. I'd like to just mention one particular aspect of leadership, which is called the African Leadership in ICT and Knowledge Society Planning and Development Initiative, which we run and which is regarded by the African Union as one of their flagship programs. It's funded by the Finnish Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Finland, and we have just completed one cycle of this project. And effectively, it's a blended learning program over 8 months, and it looks at the whole business of enhancing your leadership ability. It provides modules on all the areas that I have just mentioned, being led, of course, by the 3 major pillars for social and economic development in the age we live in right now, namely ICT, science, technology and innovation, and again, education. These are some of the modules. I'm not going to stay long on this, but we have some literature outside if you're interested in finding out a little bit about it later. I draw your attention to the 3 cross-cutting themes here about policy coherence, roadmap for knowledge society development. For each participant in individual leadership development, we use the 360-degree leadership diagnostic tool, and every participant has to develop a leadership mapping for themselves, as well as ICT professional development. Who are the participants? Who are we aiming this project at? Existing and future and emerging leaders from across government departments, and in particular the government departments we've mentioned here. Also public sector organizations and government agencies, public planning institutes, etc. But overwhelmingly, the participants have been from various government ministries, with actually, I'm very glad to say, quite a big percentage of people from ministries of education. Almost 40% are from ministries of education. What are the benefits? Why would you bother taking this program? What are the benefits, or what are the expected outcomes from our point of view? You should certainly acquire 21st century skills and of course appreciate the importance of all the drivers of knowledge society planning, which I've mentioned already. Membership of a continent-wide professional alumni, which is already in place, and being able to engage in the creative process of forecasting and futures thinking and the methodologies which enable that to happen. And of course, it's always very important the incentivization in terms of career advancement opportunities within their own organization. How do we deliver the program apart from the fact that it's a blended learning program? It's very much applied learning. It's not a question of taking people out of the workplace, giving them a whole lot of theory, and then see what happens when the participants go back into their working environment. It's about reflective practice. And that reflective practice in a post-facto basis comes back into the next learning activity of the program. So it's very much applied, it's very much collaborative and action-orientated. Assessment and certification. Of our current cohort, 230 have been certified with the full completion, and 184 of these graduates from 12 African countries, including 12 from the African Union Commission itself, 184 have been awarded a postgraduate diploma in African leadership in ICT and knowledge society development from Dublin City University in Ireland. And it's a level 9 qualification, has been externally examined as such under the Bologna Credits Transfer Agreement, which means that it's 80% towards achieving a master's degree. This is what happens after you have been through the tough, rigorous exercise of concluding the program. You can see a great sense of relief there, but I also think a great sense of achievement also. We are lucky that we're going to offer this program for another 3 years, and we will cope with 500 participants from all the countries mentioned here. We're very anxious to get into Francophone countries also, because up to now we've been exclusively in English-speaking countries. And in fact, we would like to make it a widespread project, and we will be collaborating with the AU and indeed with IDEA on how we choose countries as we roll it out, and the ongoing collaboration with them. I get back to the leadership and policy development. There was a really good workshop, a good session here yesterday on policy development. And indeed, a lot of the factors I have here have been included in that. And the significance of making sure that it's an intergovernmental activity. We in the West made terrible mistakes 10, 15 years ago. The ministries of education, in their naivety as we look back, thought that they could develop ICT strategies for ICT integration strategies, and they forgot how expensive that activity is. They forgot that the Exchequer and the Treasury weren't really prepared to fund all this activity. So now the initial stages of policy development for ICT integration at high level must be a ministerial activity in the first instance. They're the experts. The Ministry of Education is the experts in providing education, but they must also include all the other ministries. And obviously, then after that, the consultation with the other key education stakeholders, like etc., training colleges, councils, etc., etc. I'm not going to read all of these, and consult with the ICT industry, who obviously has a lot to offer as well. We've heard in the last 2 days the business of collaboration, that the essence of future development and future expansion in the age we live in is about collaboration at all levels. I'm being encouraged to hasten here. The other aspect, there is a distinction, I think, between policy making and implementation strategy, and the implementation strategy is of a different. And I've highlighted something here which came across this morning in the speech by Dr. Peccio, the importance of the teacher and the intervention to enhance the professionalism of teachers. I was a teacher many moons ago, and we have to support the professionalization of the teacher. That's the incentive, the role, the confidence, the view that teachers have, the social respect that teachers have in their community. We should be able to use technology to enhance that. That's the incentive, much more so than any opportunity for extra advancement, etc., etc. I also, the third area, which I'll finish on, the third area of leadership, which we have to pay serious cognizance to, and which is what the West lost out on, which is leadership at school level. Regard the head teacher as the agent of change, as the person who makes the school ready for ICT integration. That has to be supported. And he has to develop an ICT culture, motivate the teachers in his schools, facilitate ongoing ICT professional development in the school, and add to this sense of teacher professionalism. All these dynamics have to be in place so that the teacher feels in control. Lessons learned briefly from outside Africa, which the point I've made, leadership at multi-dimensional layers from top government level right down to the school. If this sequence of leadership capability is not in place, you will not get through ICT integration. We've also suffered in the past from a complete disconnect between policy vision and classroom reality. Again, within ministries, within high officials, we assumed what a classroom reality would be like with ICT integration. We didn't actually know. So this is why I get back to the business and skills were being taught in isolation. ICT was not at the table of curriculum development. If ICT is not at the table of curriculum development when you're revising or writing a new curriculum, you've lost the game already. You're trying to add it on as some sort of an adjunct at the end, and that will never work. I'm not going to go through the benefits of ICT and how it enriches learning, etc., but I have re-emphasized again bringing out the social status of teachers, and I'd recommend to those people who haven't read it already, bring back The Teacher to the African School, written last year by Pai Abania, who makes this very point about the centrality, the role, and the awareness of the importance of a teacher in his or her community. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present here today.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerome. Now I'm calling on Martin Rist from HP.
Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, dear influencers and decision makers. I'm going to skip the next video just for the sake of time. I wanted to show with a video our vision, so I have to do it only with the slides. So from HP, we believe it's not really only about hardware. It shouldn't be new to you. I think it's really about access, which includes the hardware, true learning, and that should equal outcomes. And the title of my presentation was From RI to RE. So what do I mean by that? I think the investment of ICT in education in short term should really increase the quality of learning. And long term, it should bring you the return on the education and economy. When we, from HP, talk about education, we talk really about an end-to-end education solution. In the past, we have seen a lot of tenders which were just about devices. It's changing. I mean, I was very happy when I saw the RFP from Kenya that it was not only about devices, but they were preparing for an end-to-end solution, which made me very happy, I have to say. So from HP, I mean, we are not providing only devices. I mean, a lot of people were asking me, oh, I know HP from printers. This is not true. I mean, there's much more behind it, all the infrastructure. My colleague will talk about education cloud, and all the learning side, professional development for the teachers, administrators, IT staff. We are also providing learning management systems or student information management systems or apps. And due to that, you will get to meaningful outcomes and wire assessment and measurement. You can also show these results. And that's really where I want to put a bit of focus on. Before going there, I mean, as mentioned before, please, if you do ICT integration into education, please avoid just asking for a piece of hardware. I mean, if you ask for a cheap device, you will get a cheap device, but I don't think it's the way to go in the future. So, in terms of the topic of our plenary session, what to watch out for in ICT policies and education, I think the first thing is you need to set your goals. Ensure that you have achievable goals set. Ensure that they're aligned with the national strategy and economic plans, and gain a consensus on what are the most important measures. Then identify your stakeholders. The stakeholders are also the students, parents, teachers, administrators, employers, and the community. Don't forget about that. And in my opinion, what you need to do, you need to invest into a management of change, especially for the teachers. So they all need to buy into your plan, and you cannot just go and do a top-down presentation on how to use technology. Before that, they need to be motivated by themselves. I mean, the successful integration of ICT in education requires really a major cultural change. And all the stakeholders really need to be involved. It's not only about using technology in school, it's really about delivering an enhanced educational experience. For example, for a teacher, they need to change how to prepare the lesson, use LMS, I mean, interactive material. For the student, they are all of a sudden, maybe in project-based learning, we are moving from passive to active learning. We all know that. And I know it's not easy, and it won't happen overnight, but it will happen, okay? And just to show you that in a nice picture, these are the emotional stages of change. I mean, really, like in the beginning, everybody's very skeptical. Then you launch your big marketing campaign, you go via the press, and you create a lot of enthusiasm. And then it's taking time. Maybe some people are questioning, is it worth it? And they're frustrated. And long term, it will really pay off, and everybody will be happy. Now, regarding the assessment of your goals, I think that the ministries, they need to analyze the learning and the economic and social indicators to make sure that the investments pay off. Not only for the coming semester, but also for the students and the society in the long term. HP is planning a workshop for the African Ministries of Education in the beginning of next year in Johannesburg, where we are going to offer you a lot of expertise on how to measure results, okay? And you can go up to 300 different indicators. I mean, you're not going to look at all of them. This is really for the analytics. Maybe you want to define 20 for your minister and for the public. We're working together with UNESCO on that, with the Learning Metrics Task Force, Brookings Institutions. So there's a lot of work to be done in order to prove the impact of your investments. And once you have the results, please don't forget to tell the story. I mean, it's really like, assessment is complex, okay, but it's key that you communicate it to the public properly, because the public will support it. And when you have good results, it will lead to higher budgets, definitely. And so you can continue good work. So also try to think ahead of time on your communication plan. It should really be a plan where you define what's your schedule, when you want to deliver what to the public, because this is extremely important for you, for your minister, for your president, that they get the public support. This is it from my side. I was very quick, so thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Actually, you had 2 minutes, but thank you for sparing those 2 minutes for some of us. It's now 1:27. We had planned to finish this session at 1:30. Unfortunately, I'm not so sure whether we will be able to entertain questions at this stage from the floor. I know that it's very frustrating. I know that some of you have burning issues to to share with others. But what we could do is, some of these issues, as you know, have been already mentioned throughout the day, and we had the report from the small group sessions, and we have the rapporteur actually making a presentation on all the different challenges in terms of formulating ICT policies, and some of them actually were echoed in the different presentations. So from maybe the chair, my own conclusion is to say that there are really two things that I'm taking away from this panel. The first one is that ICT policy is really about vision. It's about leadership. I think in the presentation, the keynote speaker mentioned this need for building national consensus. I think this is where it really starts. And in the two African cases we've heard, they're on the right track. I think Kenya, Cote d'Ivoire, they're going from a vision and now trying to translate that vision into policy. And another thing, now, technically speaking, when it comes to implementation, there is a major challenge. There is a paradigm shift that is needed. I think it was mentioned in the last presentation about the need to have a cultural change in the way we work. And that's the most difficult part, trying to change people's habits, because they have acquired those habits for years, and you're asking them to undo those different habits. So that's the challenge. And I think that's where now some of us will be able to really support or assist some of the countries that are trying now to effect that paradigm shift. From Argentina, I think it's very good also to see that the vision can come from a regional body. and then be owned by different countries and translated at country level. I think that's what exactly happened. But then you have to have strong leadership, as illustrated in the Argentinian case. With Jerome, I think your presentation has really showed us that we need more of ALECT. I mean, 250 leaders right now, it's just a drop in the sea. We need more. We need a critical mass of those leaders. And you don't become a policy maker or a leader. You have to be nurtured. And that is very important. So the need to train our leaders at country level is very important, so that we have people who have vision and who can dream, as our Korean friends told us, that it's very important to dream. And of course, you have HP now proposing this workshop, so we really need to take advantage of these different opportunities that are being availed to us to make sure that Africa will be able to benefit from the potential of ICT in education. Okay, thank you, and now we have to go to lunch. All right, so with this, thank you very much.